Welcome, bienvenidos, bienvenidas, bienvenides to the Phyllotaxy project, a collaboration between Michigan State University and UNAM. We will be collecting pictures of mainly cactus with spiral phyllotaxy patterns and analyzing their mathematical relationships. This is a video tutorial to show you how to collect data from the images that you take of your cactus. You will go to this link that we will provide you on GitHub to Phyllotaxy project. And there will be a link that you can click here to Google Colab. So just select this icon, click on it to open in Colab. And this will open a Jupyter notebook that you can see in Google Colab. And it will have all the instructions here in text that I'm going to go over by video now. You can either hit this button, Run All, at the very top, or you can scroll down to the first coding cell and then press the play button. As soon as you press the play button, it's going to ask you that this notebook was not authored by Google. It's being loaded from GitHub and that it may request access to your data. And never is the data going to be uploaded anywhere. You're just going to run this from your browser, and the data will stay within your browser and on your computer. So you can click here, Run Anyway. And you can see that the code is running, and you're going to scroll down to the bottom of this cell. And here it's going to give you instructions. So the first step that you need to do is to upload your image. So you can click Choose Files, and then you're going to navigate to an image somewhere on your computer and upload it. It should preferably be a JPEG or a PNG image, but most image types should be accepted. But you should try for a JPEG or PNG image. And then you press Open. And you can see it's going to upload the image, and it's 100% done now. Before we collect the data, we're going to collect some personal information from you and store it with the data that you collect. We hope to make this a class publication, that we can actually publish this data that you're about to collect in a scientific journal. And if so, you should get credit for that and be a co-author. But we need to keep in contact and have some basic information. So the first is your name. This is not just the normal name as you're called by, but the name that you want to be published as, exactly as you would like to see it in a scientific publication. So for example, my name is Dan Chitwood, but I like to be published as Daniel H. Chitwood. You should consider a middle initial if you want one, or if you have dos apellidos or two names, you should consider if you want them to be separated by a space or with a hyphen connecting with them. You should put your institution, Michigan State University or UNAM or another institution that you may come from. If you're somebody who got involved in this project but don't have a university affiliation, no problem, you can just put none. You should put the location that the photo was taken. At the time that we're making this video, we're going to go to the Jardín Botánico called El Charco in San Miguel de Allende, and some of the students will be sampling from the UNAM Jardín Botánico in Mexico City. But if there's other locations that you sampled a photo from, you should put it here. Actually, I got this photo from East Lansing in Michigan. It's one of the cactus that I had at home, so I'll just put East Lansing, Michigan. And then very importantly, you should put an email. This should be an email that you can be contacted at after the class, because it may take some time to actually write up the publication. So it's important that we keep in contact with you. So please put an email that is more longer term and that we'll be able to get in touch with you later. Once you have all that information, you click Start Tracing. And as soon as you click that, you see that you're going to get your full image. These images that you collect, importantly, need to be as top down as possible. And the plant that you should see should have very visible parasticchies. The parasticchies are the spiral arms, and this is what we're going to be collecting today. So you should be able, before you start clicking, you should be able to see which of these arms you would be clicking on to select. If you go all the way to the bottom, you're going to see when you're done with one arm, you can collect the next arm. You're going to collect all the arms for one direction or one family, and then you're going to be finished with that family, and you'll collect the next. But first, you have to collect each arm one after the other. So I'm going to go back here, and before I start clicking, I'm going to look for a very obvious spiral arm. This one looks very obvious to me. So I'm just going to click, and you should click in a very controlled way, just one click at a time. You should always click on the same feature. So for example, right now I'm trying to click on the middle of this areole here, right in the middle of all the white stuff of each one. You should start at the center and go outwards. You should click every single node that you can along the arm. And when you don't feel comfortable going any further, you should stop. So this is the first arm that I collected, going from the inside outwards. When I'm done with the first arm, I go down here, I click once, next arm. Now I go back, and it's important that I collect the next arm in the same direction. So this would be this arm here. I don't feel comfortable going any further towards the center. I'm going to start right here. Only click on what you feel comfortable. So I'm going to start clicking, going from the inside out, and you can see now it's a new color. And I click as many of these that I feel comfortable for that spiral arm. I'm done with that arm. I click next arm. I go up here. I go to the next arm, and I start clicking. Again, going from the center out, it's very important that you collect every sequential node for that arm that you click. I'm done with that one. I say next arm, just a single click. I'm going to do the next arm now here. Done with that one, single click, next arm. Go to the next arm. From the center outwards, every sequential node, and as far as I feel comfortable. For example, I don't feel comfortable going beyond there. Next arm. I collect the next one. Good, next arm. Next arm, going from the center outwards. Be very careful. Just try to see where the spiral arm should be. It's easy to get off. Next arm. In the center too, you should only go as far that you feel comfortable. I really can't see beyond, for example, right here. Going from the center out, clicking every point. Next arm. Not only do you have to do each arm one after the other, but it's also good to look at the previous arm that you did, and it can act as a guide to help show you where you should be clicking. Next arm, going from the center outwards, every single point in that arm, next arm. And now you can see that we're almost done. We're getting towards the end here. Now you hit next arm again, and we do now the final arm. Okay, for the final arm, you should stop when you've done all the arms for one family, and you should count. The number of arms should be a member of the Fibonacci sequence. So if we start on this red arm here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 13 arms. And remember that 13 is a member of the Fibonacci series. The Fibonacci series is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. So we have 13 arms in this family as is expected. When you're done with that final arm, do not hit next arm. Say, finish family A. And if you had collected a different number of arms than a member of the Fibonacci series, it wouldn't let you continue. It's really important that the number of arms for each family is a member of the Fibonacci series. So now that we already clicked finish, go to the next arm, you can see that it has the points from the previous family. They're in black. And you can see now, rather than say go to the next family, it says finish and download zip. Because we're going to, when we're done with the next family that we're about to do, we will finish and download all the data so that we can analyze it. But next, we have to do the other family. We plot the previous family here in black because you're going to see that many of the points that you click are going to be the same points that you just clicked in the previous family. However, it's important that you click as close as possible to the original point so that we're able to make sure that those points are in the exact same location. So we put these black dots here for you so you know where to click as close as possible. The next family you do might be a little more difficult. It needs to go in the opposite direction. And probably the first family you picked was the more dominant, the more easy to see spiral family. So there's always going to be a family in the opposite direction, but it may be a little more difficult to see. So spend some time and look at what the spiral arm might look like. Try to find one spiral arm in the opposite direction that is the most strongest to your eye. I'm going to go with this one right here, and I'm going to do the same thing now. I'm going to start clicking on my first arm of the second family in the opposite direction. And I'm trying to click as close as possible on the previous black dots. And importantly, it's not important that you click every single, it doesn't have to be that every point you click was on the previous family. But if you click on a similar point as before, make sure it's as close as possible. So that's my first arm, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now that I'm done, I'm going to say next arm. And now it's important that I go to the next sequential arm. And I'm going to use the previous one as my guide, and it would start right here. So I'm going to start clicking on my next arm, going from the center outwards, and you go as far as you feel comfortable. I don't know if I feel so comfortable with this. I was a little worried about that one, so I'll just leave it there. And then you go to the next arm. Again, use the previous one as your guide and think about where you're going to click before you do it. So I'm going to start this next one here, starting at the center, going outwards, and clicking on each successive point. And we're done with that one. And you can see that some of these spiral arms are very shallow in this other direction. So using the previous, this one goes all the way over here. Start at the center, going outwards, clicking on every point, going outwards. We're done with that one. Next one is going to be here. The next arm, starting at the center, going outwards, and clicking on each sequential point as far as you feel comfortable. So you don't have to keep on clicking on previous clicked points if you don't want to. And then single click, next arm. This will be the next arm here. Like that. next arm. And we only have 2 more arms, starting at the center, each sequential arm going from the center outwards and clicking on each point. We're done with that one. And finally, we're on our last parastichy arm. And you go outwards. Okay. And then we're done. So again, when we're done with our last arm, before finishing and clicking and finishing up, let us count the number of arms. Let's start on this red one, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And of course, 8 is a member of the Fibonacci series. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And if you remember, the number of arms in the previous family was 13. And this is also important. Not only must the number of arms for each family be a member of the Fibonacci sequence, but the number of each will be a neighboring member in the sequence of Fibonacci numbers. So that's exactly what we see. This family had 8 arms, and the previous family had 13 arms. So 8 and 13 are neighboring numbers in the Fibonacci series, which is exactly what we expect. So now we're done, and we say finish and download zip. So we click this. And you see there now it's generating the outputs. It says success. You captured 13 and 8 arms. Remember, it's going to check that the number of arms in each family is a member of the Fibonacci sequence, and that these 2 numbers are neighboring members in the Fibonacci sequence. So if we go look at our data, it will be in our downloads folder, and it will be as a zip file. If you double click this, you will open the folder, and you'll see several things. One, we're going to save your original image so that we have access to it. Then there's going to be saved the same image, but with a plot of the parastickies that you clicked. Then we're going to have your info file. So here you're going to see that this CSV file has my published name, my institution, the location that the image was taken, and my email for contact. And then finally, we're going to have a results file. And this is going to have all the information that we need to do data analysis later on. And you're going to see for every single point that you clicked, it's going to have the family A or B that the point comes from. It's going to have the arm. So remember, in family A, we had 13 different arms. And then remember, I tell you it's important to click the point sequentially. So for each arm, it's going to go from the center outwards in sequence the points that you clicked. So these are the points for the first arm, these are the points for the second arm, and these are the points for the third arm. And finally, it's going to have the actual coordinate points on the image so that we will always have these parastichy arms in the image. So that is a video tutorial of how to collect the parastichy data from the images that we're going to collect. We're going to be giving more lectures about this and analyzing the data going forward from here, but this is a start so that you can start collecting data. Thank you.